Happy Thursday and welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We are live here on YouTube. Appreciate everybody stopping by, making this show a part of your day. We put out a long video a few hours ago about the ESPN report of Caleb Williams, Seth Wickersham writing a book. So we got some reaction to that. We'll have a little further reaction here. Plus, Ben Johnson hopping on the herd today, giving his thoughts on that reporting as well. All right, shout out your city. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Cullen, welcome in. Interesting day so far in Bears land.
Yeah, we kind of came into this day, figured, hey, we'd be talking about the schedule a little bit more, maybe, break down, the latest news and rumors, maybe some players are going to give some quotes and everything, and then you kind of sent me the message earlier today, and it was off and running. And, of course, Ben Johnson was also on Colin Cowherd's show, The Herd, earlier today, so we'll be breaking that down. But, yeah, Bears news is here in plenty. And, yeah, it was not little reports by any means.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's for those who missed it, I'll just kind of give some bullet points here. Seth Wickersham, ESPN, he's wrote several books. I think he wrote a book about Belichick. I think it may have been Belichick and Brady. He's written a few different. Was it about their breakup?
It's better to be feared. It looks like it was Belichick and Brady, the Patriots dynasty.
Yeah, I think he detailed kind of why it came to an end as well. And everybody's asking why the timing. So basically, he details that Caleb and his camp, his dad most notably, had reservations about coming to the Bears. At first it was stuff where you're like, well, yeah, I don't blame him. Like, there was a quote from Carl, his dad, saying, Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. Well, a lot of truth to that. But then you hear more about how, Carl tried to look for different avenues, and he tried to even consider, hey, could Caleb play in the UFL for 1 year, then be a free agent and sign wherever he wants, which would have been this offseason, this and that and the other. Caleb fell in love with the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell specifically, really liked that fit. And am I supposed to be pissed at him? Kevin O'Connell kind of knows what he's doing. He's a young offensive mind who played quarterback in the NFL. Not exactly shocking that those two hit it off. But here's what matters. After Caleb took his top 30 visit, he talked to his dad and he said, I can make it work here. I'm going to the Bears. Said, I can win here. I'm going to the Bears. So in the end, he ended up not taking the nuclear path of trying to pull an Eli Manning, trying to pull a John Elway, and he ultimately chose the Bears. Maybe he wasn't doing cartwheels about it, but he felt good enough about it to go there. And guess what? A lot of their reservations, Cullen, we saw what happened last year. Disaster. Matt Eberflus doesn't know what he's doing. Neither does Shane Waldron. I mean, that was the funniest quote. He was talking to people in his camp, and he's like, I don't know if I can do it with Waldron. And it's like, yeah, you couldn't. We saw it. We saw it play out. So he's fired up to work with Ben. That was in the article as well. Direct quotes from Caleb in April about just that. They've built this thing around him. I thought someone on Bears Twitter made a good point, Colin, of this book is kind of old news, and it's not really anyone's fault. The book comes out when the book comes out. So it's unfortunate timing because the vibes around the Bears are high right now. But all that's from before the hiring of Ben Johnson and before the offensive line additions and before Caleb's comments about being fired up to play with Ben, this, that, and the other. So, it's a big story. We wouldn't be doing our jobs if we weren't talking about it, but I don't think his thoughts and his dad's thoughts of let's not play in Chicago from 15 months ago are true today. I think they're happy where things are at. It sucks that they basically wasted his rookie season. That's a bummer, but if that's what got us to here and now, and if it works with Ben Johnson, no one's going to care about that. So, a lot to unpack. Kind of sucks to see some of it, but it's like we kind of knew some of that to an extent was out there. Like Cowherd talked about this a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of great points there, Harry. The main thing that kind of I took away from was, like you mentioned, like the vibes are high in Chicago, the offseason momentum, right, going from getting Ben Johnson to, hitting free agency and getting the guys you want via trade or, signing guys, and then going through the draft and, having the draft that you did, to then now, we get the schedule, everyone's talking about what the potential record could be, and then it hits. And look, I mean, like you said, you can't control these things because, again, the book comes out when the book comes out. He has to get through multiple sources. He has to make sure, it's checked and everything is worded right and the story flows the way that he wants it to. So the timing is kind of unfortunate. But, again, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we already knew from last year. Again, a lot of it with Shane Waldron, the whole draft process that Caleb Williams went through and everything. Yes, there were some details that came out about that. But, yeah, I mean, to be honest, it is kind of somewhat old news as a story.
Yeah, I mean, even like the most jarring part we kind of knew about, which was that Shane Waldron didn't watch film with Caleb for whatever reason. I don't know the full details of that, but it was doubled down from Wickersham and his reporting. Here, there's a quote from Caleb to his dad, and I think all the quotes come from Carl, by the way. I think he fed Wickersham this information. So, like, if you want to be mad at someone, be mad at Carl. Like, I don't think there's any, like, again, am I supposed to be mad at Caleb for really liking what the potential of the Vikings? Like, I know they're a division rival, but, like, guess what, guys? Like, they just unlocked Sam Darnold in year 7. Like, They kind of know what they're doing when it comes to quarterbacks, and we hope now with Ben that he's got a track record. We don't hope, we know that he's got a track record of knowing what he's doing. And we hope that continues here, and that happens with Caleb. And I think the people, and there's a few people in the chat, screw Caleb. I knew there'd be some of that, but I think the live poll is a more accurate representation of how Bears fans feel as a whole. That most understand and most are like, yeah, the Bears have done a poor job with quarterbacks. Like, that's well documented. And I think when we go through Ben Johnson's comments here in a little bit, you'll feel better about things. Because I thought he showed a really good perspective today when asked about it by Cowherd. That's a tough question to answer just hours after that gets kind of out, and he handled that like a pro, like a leader, like a head coach. Not like you would expect from a first-time head coach. I don't think Matt Eberflus would have handled it that well, I'll tell you that. So, yeah, I think it is what it is, and it's an unfortunate minor distraction, but I get the sense that this team's pretty focused, and the one thing I'll be interested about, Colin, is if he gets peppered with this at training at OTAs. You would think someone's going to ask him about this. So Caleb's been good with the media since he's been here, so it'll be interesting to see how he handles that when that happens, which would probably be next week when OTAs start on the 20th, which would be 16th, 17th, 18th, I guess Tuesday. So we'll probably hear from him next week. So be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. Obviously, he'll probably get asked about that. To me, like I said, the reason why I'm downplaying him more is a lot of that stuff happened before he was even officially a Chicago Bear. A lot of that stuff. And I mean,
and again, after the visit, he's like, I'm going to the Bears. I'm good.
And he's good. And then again, it's been, kind of sad that he's more right on the Shane Waldron situation, which again, hindsight and everything, we probably should have seen coming. But, I mean, again, he was kind of proven right. He stayed the course. He was again, you could say what you want about his play. Him as a leader last year, in terms of rookie quarterbacks, you couldn't have asked for him to do much more in terms of how he answered the media, how he was, body language on the field, how he interacted with teammates, all of that. Like, I thought he handled that very well as a quarterback, especially coming in the league as a rookie. So, yeah, I have really no issue, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a classic, like, the headline is going to garner a ton. But when you dig into it, it's like, oh, this is stuff from like 3 months before the draft. Like, we kind of heard whispers about this. Sure, there's more kind of concrete info now, but I'm not wavering in 18. Type 18 if you got Caleb's back. I'm not bailing on him at all. The one thing this probably does do is, if he does fail, he's going to take a lot of heat. He's going to take a lot of heat. There will, if in 2 years he's not the Bears quarterback, if it flames out like Justin Fields, there will be a lot of people referring back to this. He never wanted to be a Bear in the first place, yada, yada, yada. So, but that's, if you fail, you're going to take heat. If you succeed, you're going to get a lot of praise. That's how it is anyway when you're a quarterback. That's how it is when you're a number one pick. So I'm buying stock. The fact that he put up the numbers he did, more than respectable with just, I mean, I don't even think you can call it bad coaching. It's almost like no coaching. It's shocking, some of the stuff that have leaked out since the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Shane Waldron's, arguably the worst offensive coordinator that we've had in the league in a while. And
I mean, it's made me respect Geno Smith a ton. Geno had some productive years with Waldron calling the shots. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's
amazing.
Listen, I mean, he was not as bad as he was bad in Seattle. Don't get me wrong.
I think it helps when you have Pete Carroll.
Yeah, exactly, like the overhead and everything. But I mean, Ryan Grubb was atrocious last year. I would have rather had Ryan Grubb than Shane Waldron last year. So,
the first time we heard Shane Waldron talk, I mean, I kind of brushed it off. I was like, I don't want to overreact to a press conference.
I think you brought up like the Sirianni thing too, like how the first impressions go.
Yeah, first impressions, sometimes they matter, sometimes they don't. But I just remember thinking like, this isn't inspiring confidence, to say the least. So, all right, Alex Amerling, $2 super chat. Why would Seth release this now? Again, I don't really think this is him releasing this now. So the book, I believe, comes out in September. There's always press releases, right? And look, this is a strategic play by the publication, probably with Seth's sign-off, of, hey, let's build some excitement around the book. Let's get some pre-orders, right? I'm guessing it's up for pre-order. A lot of people probably ordered that book. So it is what it is. I'll say this. Would you have rather it come out in September when the book actually drops and it's like week 2? Like, I'd rather it be now than then. Like, this was coming out. He's writing a book. It's not going away. I guarantee you, when the ESPN article of this dropped today, both the Bears and Caleb were probably pretty annoyed by this. The Bears declined to comment. Not surprised, because they don't want to put any focus on this. They want to focus on the here and the now. So, you just have to take it for what it is. I think this is probably about as good a timing of when it could come out if it was going to, which clearly it was. It's a book. It's not going away. So, it's a bummer because the vibes are high right now. But, the only thing I hope doesn't happen is some locker room stuff, right? Like, you hope like a veteran in that room doesn't misinterpret that, take it the wrong way. Maybe Caleb has to address the team. Who knows? But
I was saying, worst case scenario, I feel like he will do that.
Yeah. So I think Ben can handle this as well. So, we'll see if there's more leakage from this. But, I mean, again, the book comes out in September. The last thing you want is, let's say you beat the Vikings Monday Night Football. Boom, next day, Caleb wanted to be a Viking. Like, we don't want that.
At the end of the day, it's a learning experience. Again, he was not even drafted by the Chicago Bears when he said what he said. I'm sure, again, him and his family have probably talked about this and realized, like, kind of now the repercussions of it. I'm assuming when he gets asked about it, he'll obviously kind of be reminded of it. I'm not too worried.
The only Caleb part or quote that was after what he said, and again, I don't think Caleb talked to Seth. I think Carl did. The only thing we heard through Carl from Caleb after he was a Bear was the quote about him telling his dad he had to watch film by himself. Yes. I'm supposed to be mad at Caleb for that? Yeah. I mean, that's a Bears failure. That's not a Caleb failure. So, Tanner, wonder how Caleb and Poles will respond to that article the next time they talk to the media, especially Caleb. Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting part about this, right? The Bears declined to comment in the article. We have heard from Ben. I do think Ben, whether it was planned or not, hopping on Cowherd and addressing this from his perspective. He wasn't here last year, obviously. I think that's a positive. I thought he showed good leadership, backed up his quarterback and everything. So, that'll be interesting. I hope first time he talks to the media, it's addressed at OTAs, and then it's just done. I mean, that would be the ideal scenario, but we'll see. Depressed Bears fan, who do you blame more for keeping Flus, Poles or George? I personally think Poles. I've self-debated this a lot. I just don't know, man. I just don't know, because there's a clip from Poles of when because remember someone asked him, and it was kind of awkward because Eberflus was sitting right there, like, did you consider talking to Harbaugh, yada, yada? And he was like, no, Matt's our guy. Jim's the head coach at Michigan. He, of course, ended up going to the Chargers. I don't know. Because Poles went to bat for Flus publicly a lot, but did he do that because George told him you're not firing him after 2 years? Or did he do that because he truly still believed in him after 2 years? It's hard. It's hard to know because if I say polls, like it sounds like I'm saying, oh yeah, George had nothing to do with it. Like it's not like George has a good history of like running a football team. So I think you just have to blame the organization as a whole. It was obvious on the outside that Eberflus should not have returned after 2 seasons, and especially Colin. And this is what I kept hammering home. Like even if you kind of like the team of the trajectory, okay, 3 wins to 7 wins. Yeah, we blew a couple of games, but okay, that's a 4-win improvement, more competitive. Like even if you have those thoughts, there were still enough red flags with Eberflus, Colin. And on top of that, if you're resetting at quarterback, that's just like, even if it's unfair or whatever, you just reset. Like that's the obvious thing to do. And it's like, I'm not going to feel that bad for Eberflus in that case because he's still going to get his full contract. Like he had shown us multiple times he didn't know how to handle late game situations. Like the red flags were there that this head coaching thing, he might be in over his head. It's not like it was 1 year, it was 2 years. Like we've seen guys get pulled before a season's up. Nate Hackett, the Broncos 12 games in, are like, he can't do it. It's like he cannot do it. So giving Flus a third year was always certifiably insane.
Yeah, I think the interesting way to kind of look at this question is maybe like as a pie chart, like if you had to rank percentages of who you would blame, because I do think the fact that the Bears, up until Matt Eberflus, had never fired a coach midseason had, something to do with, why they kind of waited potentially, because you could have really fired him in the middle of year 2. And then potentially not even had to deal with it going into that offseason. But look, man, to be a fly in the room, right? And to hear those conversations and to really know who has what say and how much, kind of power each person has. Like I said, both are at fault. I think at the end of the day, it's good that it's behind the Bears, obviously. But yeah, if I had to guess, I mean, there was a lot of talk about Poles and Flus and the connection and everything, but ultimately, I mean, Poles did make the right decision in having to let him go. So.
Well, and I do think it's noteworthy. Like Ryan's still here.
Yep.
So like, is that evidence that okay, maybe this was not a complete Poles decision of let's keep this guy. We're going to let Ryan pick another coach. We're going to give him another crack at this because, I mean, it was so ugly last year. You could have cleaned house pretty easily, and like that would have been justifiable. So, yeah, time will tell if Poles is the right guy as GM. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time because it's a team coming off a hectic year. More, you get this, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot of optimism, and I don't think for like reasons that aren't legitimate. Like I think there's a lot of reason to think that this team could do good things this year, not like down the road this year. So, I'll be impressed if this new coaching staff can come in, keep the main thing the main thing, and this team go be competitive and win 9, 10, 11 games. I mean, if they could do that would be a hell of a job. There's no doubt about it.
100%. I'm going to load these next Super Chats in, but let us know down in the chat, too. What percentage of blame do you give Ryan Poles for Matt Eberflus and his kind of tenure, and how much do you give George McCaskey in terms of that blame kind of pie right there? So,
give us your thoughts. Pie chart, Poles, George, for Flus. Let's hear it. Jason, does everyone remember we were excited for bearded Flus? Thought he was a goat. Thought he was goated because he bearded up. Yeah, I mean that's how depressing it's been as Bears fans, right? Flus gets a makeover and it's like we're back. The Bears are back. Look, I'm not trying to make this the let's knock Flus down show. Like he's gone. That's over with. But it's just obvious he was not head coach material. Doesn't mean he's not a good football coach. Doesn't mean he doesn't know defense. He just can't handle the extra responsibilities of being a head coach. And I don't even just mean the end-game stuff. Like, he was bad with the media. He was weird about, like, divulging certain information. It's like, I don't know. He gave me, like, group of 5 head coach vibes where he's, like, he thinks he's, like, playing some advantage game because he's not announcing, like, specifics on injuries and stuff like that. It's like, dude, this is the NFL, man. Like, what are we doing? So, yeah.
Usually if you find a guy who tries to act like the smartest one in the room, that's almost always a bad sign. Just because, again, the really smart people want to surround themselves with even smarter people to make the whole operation work. I mean, obviously, guys have egos and everything, but like if you're kind of constantly, not even like interjecting yourself, but just kind of like, again, trying to prove something to people all the time, it can be viewed as a negative thing.
Flus's, I don't even mean the literal decision-making of the Hail Mary loss to Washington. Obviously, that was poorly handled. But how he handled it after the fact, that was the final straw for me. Like, he doesn't get it. Like, he does not get, like, what it takes. He doesn't have he doesn't have it. Whatever it is, and we always talk about that in sports, he don't have it for a head coach. Like, doubling, tripling down, that they didn't need to take a timeout, that everything was covered off, that giving the free 15 yards was irrelevant. It's like, dude, you're not convincing anybody. You're trying to convince yourself, but you're not convincing any of us on the outside. Dennis, the Chicago kid, any logical prospect would not have gone to the 2023 Bears regime. Defensive coordinator as a head coach. Fields Trubisky being failed. Caleb fought all year last year. Yeah, and look, I do want to be fair, too. Don't get me wrong. This organization has failed plenty of quarterbacks. I do think certain guys probably just weren't good enough, too, though, right? Like, would Mitch Trubisky have been better under Andy Reid? Absolutely. Maybe he's still a starter somewhere. I don't think that was ever a star in the making, though. Justin Fields, with an aggressive-minded head coach, maybe it's a different story. Who knows? Because it's well documented at this point that Flus's style was just don't make mistakes. Hell, we saw it last year with Caleb. Caleb was like trigger shy at times. It's like, this is not who you are, dude. This is not what you were at USC. Yeah, I mean, you nailed it on the head. Like, of course there would be reservations to coming here because there's not a history of the Bears drafting quarterbacks high and developing them. It does not exist. So when the best quarterback here of the last like 25 years is Jay Cutler, who was fine but wasn't even drafted and developed here, kind of tells you what you need to know.
Agreed.
Buff Mac, I recently saw your video comparing Caleb to the rest of the QBs. Really enjoyed it. I'm wondering if you'll make similar videos for other positions or more long-form content in general. Let us know in the chat, why for yes and for no. Do you want more long-form episodes? And the one he was talking about was about 45, 50 minutes long. Colin and I kind of went back and forth, and we just went through every quarterback in the NFL. Like, Josh Allen, would you rather take him or Caleb Williams moving forward? Not just in one game, not in one season, factoring in everything. Age, contract, yada, yada, yada. Went through all 32 projected starters, and in the end, I ended up with Caleb at 10. So, pretty good. Like, I think we'd all be pretty happy about that if he became a top 10 quarterback here. Yeah. So, a lot of yeses coming in.
A lot of yeses.
We can definitely work that in, especially when the offseason slows down, and try to experiment with some different content. So,
yeah,
if y'all enjoyed it, then I think those longer episodes too are like good for like if you're like commuting to work or whatever. Like, you don't even really need the visual component
just listen
that much. Just listen. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, we can definitely try to work some more of that in.
Yeah, had a lot of fun making that episode. Yeah, shout out to Harry for kind of the idea. And, yeah, if you guys want to see more of that, I mean, obviously you got to make sure with schedules, right? We don't want to have too many calls in the middle of VODs, but...
Too many what?
Too many calls in the middle of VODs.
Oh.
Phone calls or anything.
Yeah, there was a daycare miscommunication between me and the missus. It was fine. It worked out. But, yeah, and look, full disclosure, this would not be every video is now 40 minutes, but maybe we do one a week or a couple a month or something like that. So we'll talk about it, think of some ideas. The next couple months things are relatively slow. Obviously, when there is on-field stuff to talk about, we'll prioritize that. But stay tuned. We'll come up with some ideas. All right, if you love the Bears, hit that like button. We got 356 people watching. Let's get to 100 likes. We got 48 likes. Hit that thumbs up icon. Shorter show today, so we are going to continue to take your questions. So load up the chat with hashtag Bears or Super Chat questions. And then we're just going to do one other segment coming up off the top here. We're going to talk about Ben Johnson weighing in, sounding off on this ESPN Caleb Williams report. And then he talks about some other things with Caleb, too, that I think will get Bears fans excited. So here we go. A lot to get into here on Chicago Bears Now. Load up the chamber with questions, hashtag Bears or Super Chat, and let's roll. It's been a hectic Thursday for the Chicago Bears after ESPN's Seth Wickersham, ahead of his book release, some juice got released about Caleb's pre-draft process, about initial reservations about not wanting to come to the Chicago Bears. That obviously changed. Ben Johnson hopped on the herd with Colin Cowherd, addressed that and a number of other things when it comes to his young quarterback. So we're going to talk about Ben's response. I think it was really good that he went on the show today and said what he said. But if you want more on that bombshell report, I broke it all down for you guys earlier today on the channel. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, go to the content tab. If you see this thumbnail, that is the video if you want to get more information about what Seth Wickersham reported. Okay, Colin Cowherd's question to Ben Johnson was this. He said, quote, "I reported it a year ago, and Seth Wickersham reported it today. Caleb was worried about the Bears' offense, like offensive history. How do you ensure that when there are bumps in this division, and there are bumps for him, that those fears, which are now reported, that he doesn't lose faith in your system?" Ben Johnson, and this is a long response, so stay tuned. You talk about fears. I don't see it quite the same way. I see this as what a great opportunity that we have to do something that's never been done. There's never been a 4,000-yard passer in this franchise, and I think Caleb's going to be the first one. One of many years where he's going to accomplish that feat. I see a chance for greatness here for him. He's been communicative in that way. He feels the same way. I don't know about what's gone on before I joined the organization, but he's very proud to be a Chicago Bear. That's what our conversations have included. He's really excited to get to work right now and be the best version of himself for 2025. There's no question we'll face adversity. We want to see growth over the course of the season. It's not going to be linear growth. It's going to be a little bit of ups and downs along the way, but we want to see from game 1 to 17 that we're getting better as a whole. That's not just him. That's us as a team as well. I'm excited. That's what makes coaching fun. When the hiccups occur, when the adversity strikes, how do you respond to it? That's when you find out who you are as a man. I love this from Ben Johnson, and I recommend, and I'm sure it's posted on the Herd YouTube channel, whatever, that you go listen to Ben Johnson. Do it after this show on that show. Go check it out. I just love what he had to say, and I love how he said it, right? Like, no waiver, no concerns, no hesitations, acknowledging, like, yeah, this history hasn't had a 4,000-yard passer, but myself, we intend to change that. Like, I'm an offensive-minded coach. Caleb's a talented quarterback. We're coming in here chasing greatness. I see greatness in him. That should calm the waters of the ESPN report. It's like, okay, yeah, it sucks to hear some of that. Yeah, it's not ideal. You know what, though? That's 15 months ago. This is here. This is now. Let's move forward. Like, that is what matters. What you do today, tomorrow, and moving forward for all of us is what matters, but especially in this situation. You can't dwell on what feelings were in February of 2024. Caleb's here now. He wants to be coached hard under Ben Johnson. He's on the record of saying that, and there's a lot of talent here. Like, this team could do big things this year, and Caleb can throw for 4,000-plus yards for years to come, and we've never seen that in Chicago. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about this head coach. Show Ben Johnson some love by liking this video, because that's my coach, and Caleb's my quarterback, and this pairing has a chance to be really, really special. More from Ben Johnson when talking about his quarterback as well, because he was kind of asked about Colin, like, hey, like, how do you balance, like, Caleb, just take the layups, or scheming him easy completions versus, hey, go let him, chase the big ones, kind of Mahomes style, yada, yada, yada. And Ben said this. He says, Caleb was taken as a high draft pick because of that playmaking ability. We don't want to neuter that. There's a fine line of understanding what we're doing, but at the same time, when things don't go to plan, we're not going to discourage his playmaking ability and his ability to create. I trust Ben Johnson. He is a proven offensive designer and play caller. And that people get the two twisted. It's not just being a good play caller on Sundays. It's game planning during the week. It's hammering out the details. It's understanding how to attack that specific opponent. It's sequencing play calling. It's not just one good play call here, one good play call there. Hell, Shane Waldron had some individual good play calls last season, right? Like the Cole Kmet touchdown in London comes to mind. That was a really creative play, but he couldn't stack it. He couldn't sequence plays consistently. I trust Ben Johnson to lean into Caleb's strengths, and yeah, let's scheme up some easy completions, especially if you're coming off a rocky series or early in a game to get him into a rhythm. But also, like, hey, go do what you do great, be special, and create the double, the triple, even if a single is still there sometimes. Like, you don't want to take that out of his game because then you're limiting who he could be as a player. Like, Jared Goff can't do that. That's why it was a lot of just take the layups and then, set up play action, get the downfield passing game, which we want to see those things as well. But the extra play after the play, that's what Caleb can do, whereas a guy like Jared Goff cannot. And by the way, that's where the O-line comes in as well. So not only do you have a play caller who is going to scheme easier completions for Caleb to get the ball out of his hands more often, because that does have to happen, but on occasion and when the time is right for him to chase a bigger play, or when the initial read or two isn't there, this offensive line should keep him alive longer, and then his creativity, his playmaking ability could just take over the natural instincts to go make a big play, which we saw a decent amount last year, but not probably as often as we should have because the offensive line just wasn't good enough. So the combination of the Ben Johnson addition as the head coach and play caller with the O-line additions should pay dividends for Caleb's development in year 2. All right, coming up next, this quote from Ben Johnson should fire you up even more, so stay tuned for that. But first, you guys have got to get going with the Hall of Fame app. Today's sponsor is the Hall of Fame app. Have you ever been one leg away from hitting a massive parlay, but it got ruined by a blocked field goal, maybe an unexpected strikeout or an unlucky buzzer beater? How about a missed extra point? Nothing worse than that. We've all been there. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of throwing money away at parlays that I have a good gut feeling about. That's where the HOF app has completely changed the game. The Hall of Fame app was founded by huge sports fans who just happen to be giant data nerds that graduated from Ivy League schools. The Hall of Fame app is going to give you a leg up on Vegas by using historical data, matchup grades, leg correlation tools, and player performance insights. I've won multiple parlays recently, which included the under in a key game in the Thunder Nuggets series. With a 4.9 rating in the App Store and over 6,000 five-star reviews, it's safe to say that the HOF app has already helped a lot of people win smarter. For a limited time only, our listeners not only get a 7-day free trial, but also 50% off their first month when you use code CHAT at checkout. That's code CHAT at checkout. Download the HOF app. Use code CHAT. 7-day free trial. 50% off your first month. Code CHAT. You are good to go. Get started today, as the code CHAT's in the comments and description of this video to remind you of that deal. Okay, more Ben Johnson on Caleb Williams. He was asked, hey, how do you just develop him, right? Like, how do you get him going and just get him more comfortable? And I love this quote from Ben. It starts with what we're doing right now, establishing the intent of every play call. Let me repeat that. Establishing the intent of every play call. It takes time. It takes a number of reps. But the more time we spend together with myself, Declan Doyle, JT Barrett, and with the quarterbacks, the more it comes to light and why we're calling plays and where that ball should go. It sounds easy, but it's like, yes, not only are we calling this play, but here's why we're calling it, and here is the progression of it, and here is how you should go through the read of it, and ideally this is where the ball goes. But if that's covered, it should go here, right? Like, I just feel like when I watch the Bears the last few years offensively, everything's just clunky. It's like there's no space between routes. Like, how many times last year we're watching a play and it's like 3 receivers were within a 10-yard radius. Like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, like, it's the details. Like, that's the word I would use. And I saw Dan Orlovsky say it today when talking about the Lions. Like, I don't think we're talking enough about how the Ben Johnson loss in Detroit because of how detail-oriented that offense was. Ben Johnson is not going to skip steps on details. We heard that a lot with Shane Waldron last year. They would just let shit go in practice when a mistake was made. No, you got to harp on the details, and that's what they're doing right now in the springtime. We've heard Ben Johnson a number of times say, yeah, fundamentals, details. That's what we're hammering home right now. Because you can't ride a bike before you kind of fall a few times, right? Like, you're going to be on a tricycle first, then you're going to go to just a normal bike. You're going to fall. Like, you don't just wake up and you know how to ride a bike. It doesn't work that way. Like, it just does not. So I would just encourage you, just listen to the guy talk. He knows offense. Does that mean he's going to be a great coach? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't in terms of a head coach. But he knows what he's doing when it comes to offensive football, which excites me because the Bears do not know what they're doing historically when it comes to offense. Okay, one more here. Colin kind of asked him, hey, like, was there ever a moment like, oh, that's why he was the number one pick, like something that stood out in practice? And obviously we're early on, phase 1, phase 2, OTAs get going soon, so it'll ramp up. But he said, yeah, that's every day. Today it was a post route that he probably threw it 60 yards right on the money. A few days ago it was a keeper. Just to be able to flip his hips, fling that thing right on the money. Excited to see the competition ramp up at OTAs. So again, I think Ben Johnson doing this interview today, I don't know if it was planned. I don't know if he was already booked. Whatever the case may be, I think it was important coming out of that ESPN report because the Bears declined to comment on that, which I don't blame them. They don't want to put focus on that. Ben's answer to that question from Cowherd was good. And also it was an opportunity to kind of shed light on what he's seeing so far with Caleb, what the plan is to develop Caleb. And again, you just listen to him talking, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, okay, I like that. Like, it's obvious. How many times with the Eberflus, Waldron, all these guys before, you're like, okay, like, I hope that works, but that's not really how I would do it. It's all set up for Caleb. It's all set up. People could be mad at him because he had a thought at one point he wanted to be a Viking. People could be like his dad's a loser or whatever. He's got everything he needs. Like, if this doesn't work out, I actually, for the first time maybe, don't think we can blame the Bears. Now, could something unforeseen come up? Absolutely. But I don't think his rookie year of chaos will derail his whole career. I just do not think that'll happen. I don't think Ben will let it happen. I don't think Caleb will let it happen. I think he's too damn competitive for that to be the case. And we're already hearing reports of him being there after hours doing the mental reps in the indoor facility because he's trying to get the details right. That's the Ben Johnson effect, no doubt about it. And then I just want to re-hit this. This was from April. This is Caleb on his new head coach. Being able to be in this position, being able to have a first year the way I did, the ups and downs, and then to be able to come in here, be as confident as I was last year or possibly even more, and to be able to get here with the group that we have. I really can't wait to get to work with these guys. Him pushing me is key. I know that. He knows that. I can't wait and to be able to help me learn more about ball because he's super smart and he's super sharp. I really think this is going to work. And maybe I'm naive and, it's just going to be same old Bears, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I trust Ben Johnson. I believe in Caleb Williams' talent. I think the talent around him is pretty damn good. Not saying it's a Hall of Fame team around him, but there's pieces to work with. The cupboard is not dry. So it's go time. It's go time. Can't skip steps. Next few months are going to be critical to get this thing put together, but I'm fired up about it. The ESPN report isn't changing how I feel about that at all. And in some ways, I feel even better about it now after hearing from Ben Johnson. Will Caleb Williams take a big jump in year 2? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. I think there's a damn good chance he's going to because just on the coaching alone, that is going to help him make better decisions, get through reads faster, and just play with more confidence. All right, that's going to do it for Chicago Bears now. Thanks to everybody for tuning in and who you made it to the end of the video. That makes you a real one. Hit that subscribe button. See you guys soon. All right, we're sticking around for a mailbag, little Q&A action here. So hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Shane says, Ben said he initially declined the Bears job last year. Caleb didn't want to come either. We're getting Hendrickson after this story. Poles is all in. So you're saying Poles turning no's into yeses. Is that what we're saying? Man, I know it's an aggressive move, but if they get Hendrickson, Colin, we're partying on Bears now.
Oh, yeah. Because, at that point, if they were to get Hendrickson, again, you would sign him to the extension more than likely. I mean, you're fully all in on Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson,
Yep.
and this whole operation that you're doing.
It's an aggressive move because you haven't seen a single snap with this new coaching staff and quarterback under it. But if they feel convicted about it and can get Hendrickson for a reasonable draft pick, I mean, I'd think about it. I wouldn't give up a 1, but I'd
2
probably
and maybe a swap or a pick back.
the only way I'd give a 1 is if I get their 2 back or something like that. But I think if you add up the trade and it adds up to a day 2 pick, that's probably what I'd be comfortable with.
Trade for Hendrickson, sign Chubb, let's roll.
Let's win 20 Super Bowls. Okay. Tedros, how can Bears fans be mad at them? They literally foresaw the 2024 season. The kid was watching film by himself, for God's sake. Did Warren and McCaskey influence Flus's retention due to his contract? I do think there's something to the contract thing because we found out it was a 5-year deal. So I could totally see McCaskey, like, in their end-of-season meetings with Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles, and even if Poles wasn't, like, straight up like, yo, we need to fire him, but, like, hey, you know, I think we need to have a conversation about whether we want to push forward with Matt because I've made the decision that I'm going to reset at quarterback. We're going to trade Justin, start over, and I think it just makes sense to get a new head coach to line up with the quarterback. I could totally see George being like, well, Ryan, we gave him a 5-year deal. We got to pay out the rest of that contract. So we won 4 more games this year than we did last year. Let's ride this out for 1 more year. I can absolutely see that scenario playing out. And look, Eberflus is a nice guy, so I could see George, you know, kind of wanting to give him another shot. So again, I'm just speculating. I don't know. I'd love to get a clear answer on that sometime down the road. And look, maybe years from now, if Poles isn't with the organization, he'll do some tell-all. Who knows? But, yeah, I'm with you, though. I mean, I do think some of Carl's strategies and thoughts are a bit much. He's definitely a helicopter dad. But a lot of what he said, it's like, yeah, like they don't have a history of developing quarterbacks, right? Like it's like I understand the hesitation. Now, hey, we're going to go to the UFL and become a free agent. Like, all right, best of luck. I don't believe you. And obviously that didn't end up being the case. So, all right, DJ Nick, appreciate the deuce. And
we got
Eddie Padilla. Game of the year is Week 17, Bears-Niners, Sunday Night Football. I can see this game having wild card playoff seeding implications. I'll be at Levi's. Let's go, Eddie. Bring it home.
Representing the blue and orange. Bear down.
Bring it home, Eddie.
Love it, love it. Interesting thought someone put in the chat. Dio Adangbo. Could he be potentially an edge replacement for Cincinnati? I know you just signed him and everything, but
I don't think money-wise you can trade him because when you sign a guy to a multi-year deal, year one, like to trade him, the penalty is just catastrophic. I mean, I'll look just for the purpose of the discussion, but if they traded him right now, it would be. So his cap hit this year is just $8 million. It would jump up to 13.5 if they trade him. So you'd eat an additional 5.5. So it's not catastrophic, but it's like, by the way, I wouldn't even want to do that because Dio, you don't pay a guy what you did, and then sure this Hendrickson opportunity pops up. Great. I would view it as okay. That's just an extra guy to have. Like he would still play a lot, and it would give him even more flex to kick inside, which is something that's been discussed a lot. Like, if anything, the question is, like, would you throw Austin Booker in the trade? Like, would you trade a third in Austin Booker for Trey Hendrickson? Maybe. I wouldn't want to lose Booker because I'm still intrigued by his upside, but I don't expect the Dangbo to get traded before he even plays here. I mean, that would almost be unprecedented. Like, I can't think of a player signing a notable deal, never playing it down with that team. Not because he got cut or injured, like they traded him.
Right, exactly.
Like, I can't think of that ever happening. So I think that would – I almost think even if you wanted to, I almost think you couldn't because what does that send a message to free agents? Like, why the hell would I sign there, move my family there, and then I'm traded before the season even starts? I just don't even think you can do it, even if you wanted to.
Would not be a great look for the organization,
No.
especially in terms of attracting future free agents. So.
Obviously, I'd rather have Trey Hendrickson than Dio, but por le con los dos. Why not both? Why not both? Dennis, I can't blame Poles for Flus being here in 24. History points to George being cheap and holding on to bad coaches too long before Poles even got here. There's truth to that. A lot of truth. And guess what? Maybe that was a George decision, and he realized how catastrophic of one it was, which led him to allowing them to fire Flus midseason, first time in their history, and paying big money for this coaching staff. They did not shortchange this staff. Ben Johnson's making $13 million per year as a first-time head coach. Like, you can't accuse them for being cheap this time around. So maybe that's George self-recognizing, like, hey, like, you want to win, you got to pay. That's just kind of how it works. So, all right, keep firing in those questions. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions answered here on the show. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get those questions answered. Let's go.
Lego. Some more questions. Zabetta.
Get some Ace Bailey quotes.
Oh, I saw from the combine or whatever.
The bad shot quote.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
To be honest, I don't hate the answer. It's not the best answer.
I kind of know where he's coming from.
Yeah. He works on bad shots.
Yep.
He is, to be honest, like, I don't know how much of Ace Bailey you watched this season, and I haven't watched.
Not much, to be honest, because Rutgers was a joke.
He might have some of the worst shot selection as a prospect that I can remember. Like, it is some of the shots that he chooses to shoot. I mean, it's bad, but he's a great bad shot maker, and he's a hell of a scorer. But I don't know. Who knows? If you're a Mavs fan, though, you don't even have to worry about that because you're getting Cooper Flag.
Yeah. Cooper Flag.
Plant
the flag. All right. Mailbag time. Fire in the chat. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. We'll answer your questions for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to get out of here. Quick show today. Bear down. I'm Harrison Graham. It's time for another Chicago Bears Now mailbag from Take the North. He says, do you trust DeAndre Swift as RB1? I trust that he's going to be productive. I trust that Ben Johnson will put him in better positions to succeed than Shane Waldron and Thomas Brown did. I trust that he will hit some home runs. I'm not sure I trust that from a down-to-down standpoint, he will always make the right decision. Now, no running back makes the right decision every time, but there were too many times last year where, it may not be a 12-yard play, but 2 to 4 yards were available, and poor vision or just too self-confident to try and hit the home run would turn it into a negative play. Sometimes in the NFL, you got to take 2 yards and move on. That's just how it goes. So that's the question with Swift is can he be more consistent with his vision? Can he be a more willing in-between-the-tackles runner? Obviously, the offensive line should help a lot. We'll see if one of or both Roshan Johnson and Kyle Monungai can help take that burden off of him and be that between-the-tackles runner. We'll see if they add somebody in free agency or via trade. But, again, I trust that he's a starting caliber player. Is he an elite player? No, but you can do worse than DeAndre Swift. You just need someone else to emerge to run with him. I think that's almost more the key here. Do you trust DeAndre Swift as RB1? I'll ask you guys. Turn it around on you. Type T for trust or D for don't. This isn't Saquon Barkley, but I think he can be more consistent than he was last year. And by the way, last year still had over 1,300 total yards. Okay, Shane, who is your prediction to score the Bears' first TD of the season? That's a fun one. Cole Kmet. Little play action, like mesh type of concept. Him and Loveland cross each other, and Cole Kmet springs free. A little 7-yard touchdown for Caleb Williams. Mike Nintendo Master, who are the 5 wide receivers that make the team? Well, 5, 6, we'll see. I'll give you let's go with 6. If I'm picking 6, I think those 4 are all pretty safe. Zacchaeus would have to have a pretty bad camp to not make the team. I think Duvernay's on this team as a returner. Burden's going to be in the mix there potentially, but I think Duvernay, they brought him in here for a reason. And then it comes down to the last spot. Does Tyler Scott earn a spot? Does Miles Boykin get a spot? Does Jade Walker or J.P. Richardson, 2 UDFAs that showed good in rookie minicamp, do they earn a spot, one of them? That would be my guess, that you've got your top 4 that are all pretty much safe, especially your top 3. Zacchaeus, mostly safe. Duvernay, on the bubble, but probably on the right side of the bubble. And then I would guess one more spot. I hope Tyler Scott shows a lot and makes this team, but I do think he's going to have to earn it. All right, subscribe to the channel. Bears Now is a family. Hit that sub button. Myself, producer Colin, we bring the content to you, and it's all for you. So we appreciate it, and the easiest way to help us grow is to get involved. Subscribe. Light up the comment section. Hit the like button. Tell a friend about this channel. All those things help a ton. Zachary, hashtag Bears, was curious about Ben Johnson's offense, if it's more deep downfield attacking or short motion-based attacks. Well, I think he does everything, right? Like, there's going to be deep shots in there. There's going to be quick game. I do think at its core, it's establishing quick game, and this is if it's like Detroit's offense last year, which you'll see some similar, you'll see some different. Get the quick game going, find the matchup, get yards after the catch, run the rock. They're going to run the football a lot, play action off of it. Like those 3 games, quick game, run game, play action off the run. Like, I think that is what you're going to see a lot. That's what Ben Johnson wants to do. Now, he'll adapt to what he has, but the Bears have a lot of talent to work with, so I don't think he's going to have to, reinvent how he calls offense. Obviously, different quarterback, so he's going to lean into what Caleb does well, just like he did with Jared Goff, but I think those are some core principles of what he wants to do. Tedros, what'll have the most total yards? Rome, DJ, or Luth? Love that. I don't think it'll be Burden. I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed there, and rookie receiver, that's probably not going to be the case. I would lean DJ, but it wouldn't shock me if it was Rome. It wouldn't shock me if next year it was Burden. I'll go DJ 1, Rome 2, Burden 3 in terms of ordering those 3. Maybe Colston Loveland will have something to say about it. Get yourself a jersey today. Chatsports.com/Loveland. That link is in the comments and description of this video. Get the 8-4 jersey right now, baby. Eddie Padilla, other than Caleb, who on the team has the most pressure heading into 2025? Good question. I think Montez Sweat. He got a big contract. If he disappoints again, he could be a guy you try to trade next year. I think DJ had a good year last year, but not as good as the year before. Cole, same deal. I think those guys are under pressure. Guys who have been here, but new staff, new regime, players were drafted at those positions. They got to produce. Whoever starts at left tackle, especially if it's Braxton Jones, pressure's going to be on. If he doesn't play well, they'll go to someone else. That would be my guess. So, you're always under pressure in the NFL. Tremaine Edmonds is another one. If he doesn't perform, he's likely out of here after this year. Brisker, just to stay healthy. There's a lot of guys. And that's the result of being on a team that's lost a lot. You're under pressure to produce because if you don't, there's not a lot of reason to keep you when this team's lost a lot. So pressure's on a lot of people. Oscar Rodriguez, is that the ultimate goal to win the Super Bowl? I know the ultimate goal is to win the Super Bowl, but what will you consider as a winning season this year, bare minimum, to be a success? Well, I would say a winning season would probably be the line of minimum. I want to go 9-8 or better. Now, if you go 8-9 and the offense is awesome and there's some weird shit or something, okay, I'm not going to freak out. But let's get back to being a winning team. So that starts with getting to 9 wins. How do you do that? At least being 500 in the division, I think, would be a good step. Because I think Matt Eberflus won 2 divisional games. Thomas Brown won that last one. It's just not good. Let's get to 9 wins. Anything after that, that would be a great season. But like baseline of success, to your point, have a winning season. And that means you got to win 9 games. Speaking of which, fill in the blank. The Bears will win blank games this year. Are they going to get to 9? Could it be more? 10, 11, 12, 15? How many wins for the Bears? Let us know. LaCoura, if Zay Frazier is better than Tyreek, could the Bears possibly trade him in the offseason during next offseason? Possibly. If Stevenson ends up being a backup this year, though, he'll have 1 year left on his deal next offseason. You're probably looking at like a late day 3 pick at that point, like 6th, 7th. So sure, you could do it, and maybe you would if Frazier's for sure a starter and you keep Terrell Smith as like the top outside backup corner. You could certainly go that route. But I also think I like Zay Frazier. I like the skill set. He also needs to put on weight. He's coming from UTSA, so he's going to start lining up against Rome Odunze and DJ Moore pretty soon in practice. That's going to be a reality check, I would have to guess. So I'm not saying the kid can't do it. I'm not saying he can't win a starting job week 1. What I'm saying is that's probably still somewhat of a long shot. Like, if he's a good backup as a rookie, like you trust him if he does have to go in and play and can contribute on special teams, as a 5th-round pick, that's a good rookie year. And then, maybe he's in the mix to start next year. Abraham, could you name one player from both offense and defense that might be a sleeper this year to keep your eyes on? It's a good question. Sleeper. Gosh, I don't want to include rookies because I don't think that's the way to go. I guess I would say on offense, I do think I'm not saying he's going to have a huge year, and it's a crowded room, but and I'm guilty of this. I've already just penciled in Burden as the 3rd receiver. By the end of last year, if you kept close attention to the Commanders, Zaccheaus was like their number 2 receiver. Like, I do think we're kind of forgetting, that's a solid addition. Like, I love him as a 4, but, maybe he is your 3 this year. Who knows? So, I do think we're kind of forgetting about that addition. So, I'll mention him on offense. On defense, let's see. I will go with, I don't think Andrew Billings qualifies as a sleeper. I'll go deep sleeper here. I don't even know if he's going to make the team, but I don't know that you have a true backup nose at this point in time. Jonathan Ford kind of flashed late last year. They picked him off the Packers practice squad. He's a bowling ball. He's kind of like an Andrew Billings starter kit. Maybe he makes the team and is the backup nose. That wouldn't shock me. So that's kind of a deep sleeper. He's got to make the team first, whereas Zaccheaus is pretty safe to make the team. But those are a couple of names to keep an eye on, and especially with Ford, once the pads go on, okay, what's this guy doing in practice, lining up against Joe Tooney, et cetera. So, keep an eye on Jonathan Ford. I liked what I saw last year. All right, if you have more questions, fire in the DMs, social media, at HGramNFL on Twitter and on Instagram. DMs wide open if you want to talk some ball, Bears, NFL, college football, whatever else. I'm an open book. Hit me up over there and bear down. Do you like that Jonathan Ford pull?
I was wondering where you were going to go with that, to be honest.
I wasn't going to go Zach Pickens, if that's what you were worried about.
I was curious.
Give me a sleeper, chat.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not going to lie, selfishly, I would have said Manun guy, but I've also said him a bunch.
I just didn't want to. I almost feel like given the running back room, it's he almost wouldn't even be a sleeper at this point. Yeah. It's he might just be the RB2.
Maybe.
Ian Wheeler would be a sleeper.
Yeah, he would have been. More or less.
See, Dexter, I think, is too, he's played a lot.
Blackwell's interesting, that qualifies.
I mean, you paid Dio $16 a year. That doesn't qualify. Problem with Blackwell is really his only path on the field is if Gordon gets hurt because he's just not big enough to play outside corner. So.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking corner like you said because it's pretty much set, barring Tyreek Stevenson.
I mean, you could say Terrell Smith, he beats out Stevenson and there's your CB2. There's a world where that happens. DC Vipers got him in there.
I guess.
I'd be surprised. I think they're still in on Stevenson.
Maybe Roshan. I mean, Poles had a quote about him earlier in the offseason.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Decent pull. Spotlight on Caleb, full stop, no doubt. Yeah. But when you're the number one pick in a big market, that's kind of what comes with it, regardless of any reports that are out there. So
I think, yeah, we talked about it in a previous episode. I want to say it's been over a month probably since we talked about it. So it's got to be back to top 10 edge paid,
Yeah,
play.
I mean, he's got to be regardless of the actual sacks, like he's got to consistently get pressure. He's got to get, first and foremost, he's got to get back to being that dominant run defender. Like in Washington, the sacks kind of came and went. Like he averaged like 8 a year, but he was consistently graded out as one of the best run defensive edge rushers. That hasn't really been the case here. And I think part of that is that the Bears have asked him to be a pass rusher first because they just haven't had dudes that can do it. But he's got to get back to setting the edge first and then being more productive as a pass rusher. So he's paid like that. He's got to be that. Poles kind of showed him a sign of whatever the phrase I'm looking for, optimism. He said, in his eyes, from what he's seen, no one in the building's working harder than Montez Sweat. So, we'll see. Talk is cheap. Last year was a disappointment. I think he probably played through a foot issue, but still, you're making big time money, man. So he's got to bounce back. He's got to bounce back.
100%.
All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in and checking out the episode earlier as well. Again, subscribe, go to the content tab. It's sitting right there for you. I'll be back tomorrow filming some other segments, so stay tuned for that. We'll have some weekend coverage for you guys, and we'll be back live on Monday, unless they trade for Trey Hendrickson before then. Kidding, there's no reporting on that, but that'd be awesome. But if there is breaking news, we'll be breaking it down. He's Colin. I'm Harrison. Appreciate the chat. Bear down.